want to thank y'all for tuning in again to Assistant TV. I'm your host, Romain Nichols, and today I want to share something I've taken heed to since I made the decision to start sharing what I've been through in life and how I overcame it by way of content with the purposes of motivating, inspiring, uplifting, goddamn, enlightening, and is all of the higher frequencies that we need in order as beings to ascend. And while doing so, I learned some interesting things about our melanin brothers and sisters who live in communities where the street mentality isn't as dominant, and they are highly offended when the behaviors of the street mentality is associated with the title of black, which is completely understandable and rightly so. And out of respect, I monitor myself if I monitor myself if I see I'm about to place the word black in front of mentality. And that's a demonstration what this content is all about. Because you see, I don't aim to express certain opinions in order to defend them against the world. I express certain opinions in order to converse about subjects that I feel need to be talked about. Which brings me to the next point of highlighting how the audience on social media platforms seems like naturally gravitate towards a route of debate when expressing different opinions when engaging with the individuals who create the content. And that's an open discussion on why. But here at Decision TV, I aim to gather an open and engaging audience who understands that I'm here to grow and learn on my journey just as the ones who are here to learn and grow on theirs. And I'm seeking to provide that same light that others are looking for, which is the reason why I demonstrate flexibility in my opinions and expression show facts when necessary to illustrate my points while I create content, because it's extremely important to separate the two while doing so. And one of the focus points that I see, or one of the focus points that I stress most, that I want to stress most with my work, on a personal level, is and it seems to be overlooked by the audience because it's 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 like it's highlighted in a lot of my content. But the main point I illustrate is the lack of cultural practices between both our melanin brothers and sisters who have never been exposed to the street mentality in their whole life experience, and us melanin brothers who been exposed to the street mentality ever since our earliest memories of childhood. And in my opinion, we all suffer from that. We all suffer from lacking cultural practice, because that lack of connection between us is exactly how we say culturally divided, by failing to have created one, in my opinion, since what the Emancipation Proclamation. And as extensively as I've looked, I have not come across a demonstration of melanin brothers and sisters from all walks of life, street mentality or not, or whatever the differences in them have been, or in us have been. I have never seen us come together in unison on a national level, on a national scale, in an attempt to establish some cultural practice that can govern how we develop our children through all phases of their life, starting from conception to adulthood, or determine whether we can wear certain garments that will show respect or implicate certain meanings, whether worn or some kind of official acknowledgments that we can develop to recognize when our young boys become men, or when our young ladies become women. And also on top of that, the only actual date on a Gregorian calendar that reflects true Melanin history is Juneteenth, and is not celebrated in unison or unanimously across all Melanin people. And that's interesting to notice. And but there have been several attempts within small sectors of Melanin communities to actually celebrate true Melanin history on these dates, and I acknowledge that, but none on an organized and, like I say, unanimous scale that I can think of or refer to. And if I'm wrong, share with me in the comments, because this I would love to see what it entails out of curiosity. And the reason for that is because I've accepted the idea of being willing to be a student until the day I be born, man. And so I carefully listen more than I speak. But as I was saying, this overall attempt to organize genuine cultural practices on a unanimous scale by million beings as a whole has never been attempted, and it's needed. And I'd gladly be the one to get the conversation going and utilize my life as the conversation, to be the conversation starter, and lay myself completely open to the criticisms of the world while doing so, and not think twice about it, as I'm going to continue to do so, because I'm passionate about the subject. I feel like it's really needed in our in the Black community as a whole. But anyway, what has been made crystal clear to me while engaging with the artists is that indeed a separation within the melodic community exists, that we need to rid it. In my opinion, can be done through cultural practice that we can build and start bonding through. And to my brothers and sisters who are suffering from the street mentality, my words are more so for you, because it's something that our melon family who never been exposed to it help shed light on, and also needs to be considered by both of us, because this is what I want all of us to see the picture. Can you imagine this? Imagine an environment with a perception of reality is so overrun by lack, aggression, sexuality, um, anger, hunger, whatever. All those things literally become your view of how reality works and how you see the others that you share your world with as a child. This is kids who deal with these kind of circumstances from birth in some cases. And then on top of that, one of the most popular forms of entertainment being music is the way you cope with and the way you release the negative emotions that you want to release when it's time for you to do so. And coincidentally, the messages in the most popular form of hip hop kind of what confirms, for lack of better words, what reality has painted you to see. Imagine that. Imagine living amongst that and experiencing that from the earliest age that you can recall to the latest. And I was shot 21 times. Like I say, I was shot 9 times on one occasion when I was 17 years old. Just turned 17, and I was shot 12 more times later on in life. I went through two incarcerations, got stabbed. I lacked the maturity that I needed to be emotionally responsible for my wife at times in the past that has had drastic mistakes in my personal life, and the only thing that freed me from that street mentality is when I began to apply the knowledge that I was learning, and and it led me to have the courage to deliver a message I've really been carrying with me my whole life, and right to the person who's listening to this right now, because it's tailored for the ears that is listening. Like I say, my advice to my brothers and sisters that suffer from that mentality, man, the strongest weapon against it is Psalms 82:6. Be that. Think about that before you go to sleep at night, and when you wake up in the morning, ponder on the words that Yeshua referenced the people who was confronting him to. Ponder that. Sleep on it, like let that soak into you and start seeing yourself that and nothing less, and you'll start acting accordingly to what God can achieve, which is anything. And then there's a plethora of spiritual leaders with an enormous amount of literature describing and detailing how they achieve this same state that I'm speaking on. And if you want to start, my recommendation is to always go check out the words of Yeshua. Go apply the things he taught, the hard things, not the easy things, like the not worrying about food, like the turning of the cheek and having faith and trusting in your higher power, and it, and the messages to that nature. And I guarantee you it'll make you go further inwards than you thought you could, because it did the same thing for me. If it could do it for me, it could do it for anybody. And with that being said, just remember how great you are, and because that mentality It's only a mentality that only exists because you create it. Here, you create it. Create a barrier because it's limited actions in which you can physically do. And none of it's true because you can do anything. Anything is literally possible. And with that being said, I want you guys to ponder and to share your opinions on anything I spoke on and engage in the comments, man, so we can conversate and build and take it from there. And thank everyone for watching and tuning in because I'm strictly genuine about all the content I produce. And with that being said, I'm also chasing my first 100 subscribers, and I'm asking for the audience to give me as much help and support as doing that as well, man. And thank once again, thank everybody for tuning in to Adhered TV. Man, much love and much blessings.